Good evening. I'm Susan Shelby, and I'm a volunteer with the League of Women Voters of Hamilton-Wenham. The League is a nonpartisan political organization which encourages informed and active participation in government. The League of Women Voters of Hamilton-Wenham has hosted a candidates' night forum for more than 60 years. Our goal is to provide an opportunity for candidates to introduce themselves so that voters will be more informed. Questions were solicited from our membership and town residents. Due to scheduling issues, the candidates for the contested select board race in Wenham were not able to join us in person. You can find their written web statements on our website. You can also find written statements from the candidates running in the uncontested races on our website as well. Tonight, we welcome the 3 candidates for the select board race in Hamilton. There are 2 seats open for a term of 3 years each. Also joining us are my fellow League members, Stephanie McLeod and Christina Holtz. Stephanie will be our timekeeper this evening. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Amy Smith. Amy is on the board of the League of Women Voters of the North Shore. She has served on the State League Board and is currently a member of the League of Women Voters of Massachusetts Membership Steering Committee. She lives in Georgetown, where she serves on the town Select Board and Open Space Committee. This is the 2nd year that Amy has generously volunteered her services as our moderator, and we are very grateful for her help. Amy?
Thank you, Susan, and good evening. As Susan said, this evening's forum is for candidates of the Hamilton Select Board. The forum procedures are as follows. You'll have 3 minutes for your opening statement, 2 minutes for your closing statement, and 2 minutes maximum to answer each question. Taking the entire 2 minutes for each question is optional. Going over your allotted time is not. We'll go in ballot order for opening statements and then rotate the order for subsequent questions. And let's get started. Ms. Kennedy, would you start with the opening statement?
Yes, good evening, and thank you for inviting us to speak tonight. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Rosie Kennedy. I'm a Hamilton resident for over 30 years. I'm a parent, a nurse, an attorney, and a longtime community volunteer. My associations in Hamilton have included the Select Board, the Master Plan Steering Committee, the Council on Aging, the Conservation Commission, the Affordable Housing Trust, the Open Space and Recreation Committee, and the Town Hall Building Committee. I've initiated a program for the Interact group at the middle school, and I volunteer at Friends of the Middle School and High School events. I advocated for the closure of Sharon Road cut-through to create a safe family neighborhood. I organized the last town bonfire with over 300 people in attendance, and I advocated for a dedicated senior swim at the pool. And hurrah, finally this year, we will have that after 4 years of advocating for that. I also held weekly selectman hour at the town hall during my term, advocating for residents. I value open space, horses, fresh air, trees, a safe neighborhood, and my great neighborhood. And my neighbors. I value people's opinions. They teach me important lessons, and I learn more from differing opinions than merely listening to my own sphere of influence. I've loved this town since the day I landed here and feel compelled to give back to the community that has given me so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knudsen.
All right, thank you. Jamie Knudsen, resident of Hamilton, and want to thank the League of Women Voters for the many things that you all do year after year. Also thank my fellow candidates for their participation, and also thank all of you who will watch and will take the time to consider this and then vote on April 11th, or maybe you've already voted. I'm privileged to be able to offer what I have in service to the town of Hamilton, where my wife and I have lived for 29 years and raised our 4 kids who all attended the Hamilton-Wenham Wenham schools and graduated from the schools. We've been involved in a number of ways throughout all the years in other things. And then in 2020, I was elected to the select board and served 3 years. I took a year off last year while Bill Wilson stepped on. He's done a phenomenal job. And then now as Sean Farrell is retiring after 9 tremendous years, I'm ready to serve again. In the last year, I haven't been just sitting around. I've chaired the Affordable Housing Trust and the Hamilton Human Rights Commission. Professionally, I'm an attorney in private practice, focusing on trust and estates, and I have a particular skill in dispute resolution and dealing with a lot of families who have issues related to their estates and their inheritances. The 3 of us here tonight, we've all served on the select board, and we all have a clear record to run on. There is a clear difference between my position and Rosie's on a number of issues, and so there is a clear choice for the voters. My goal is to enhance the quality of our community through positive, innovative ventures, increasing the diversity of representation of voices in all concepts in our town, but also with fiscal discipline so that we keep the tax rates reasonable. There's very little land in our town that can be developed in any event, so we're not going to become a city or have major problems with density. But there are a few things, and so as an example, Gordon Conwell Seminary, they want to sell their property, or they did, and I think they do still want to sell some of it. And it's been a process in our town. We had a significant opportunity to take a property that currently gives us no tax revenue, and the town had the opportunity to have significant influence, and we still have some opportunity to do that. And so we want to make sure that we take advantages of opportunities like that. Similarly, there'll be potentially things coming up with the schools and possibly the Winthrop School site, where we have to make some decisions about how that can benefit the town. There's so much that's great about our community, but we can do a better job at working together. And I believe I can offer a major contribution to that when I'm elected, and I intend to do that. So I ask you for your vote.
Okay,
Thank you.
that was the time. Did you hear that? Did people hear that beep?
I did. So there's no warning before we get to.
I mean, I can say, if you want me to say 30 seconds, would that
Be
be
great.
good?
That'd be great.
Okay, I'll do that next time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I'll listen for that too. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Olson.
Good evening. Yeah, I want to also thank the League of Women Voters. I think it's important for our town to have as many different avenues to get our voices out there and get opinions and people to participate. So thank you for taking the time to put this together. And thank my fellow candidates. I got the pleasure to serve with both Jamie and Rosie on the select board. We actually changed the name from the selectmen to select board when we were on the board because that was important to us. And I think that we do have a lot of differences, but in this town, it's important to share our differences and come together with to build consensus together, even from our differences. That's important to me as a candidate. I have been on the select board for 6 years, and before that, I served on the planning board, and as well as have volunteered for a lot of other committees. Was involved with the patent playground. Was involved with the patent pool, helping to raise money and volunteer and donate my time. So really my goal is to improve the community we live in. I've been living here with my wife, 2 daughters and 2 dogs for 15 years. We moved here in 2009. I live across the street from Brick End Farm, so it's very important to have open space, to have our composting that we do. We have trails on our property, horse trails, so we love to share our property with people that are enjoying the open space and enjoying the community that we are in Hamilton. The reason I'm continuing to run for select board is I think that we've built consistency, and we have a lot of great projects going on right now, between the town hall project, between the school projects, working on some grants on our infrastructure, working on some of the properties in town that might sell and transfer and become other things. And so I think that it's important right now for me to maintain on the board maintain that leadership and consistency and to see these projects be successful and come to fruition. So so that's really sort of the goal of my candidacy is to remain on the board and to help get these projects through and to listen to everybody's voice and to form consensus in the town. So I look forward to our debate tonight. And I just want to also make it clear that I am running for select board. You will see my name under planning board as well as select board, because at the time I wasn't sure who would be running for which office. I did not want to leave an office without a candidate. So and since that time, I decided if you're going to vote for me, to please vote for me for select board. So once again, look forward to a lively discussion tonight, and we can move on to the questions.
Thank you. And now on to the questions. And Mr. Knudsen, you'll start this time. So question number 1, what do you think is the best option for the new elementary school project?
All right, thank you for the question. So I don't know whether to assume our viewers have all the background information, but so I guess I'll give a little introduction. But so the School Building Association project has been working through their situation, and there are 5 potential design alternatives that are available. 2 of them involve the renovation of Cutler School, and 3 of them involve new construction on the Cutler site. The 2 that involve just renovation, they don't meet, although they are still technically on the table. The school district has said that they don't meet the district's educational objectives. And I think we need to trust the schools and their expertise and set them up for success as they educate the kids and are the experts on that. Furthermore, building a new school, new building at the Cutler site would open up the Winthrop site for some other use, which would potentially generate greater revenue and serve the town's needs in other ways. Of the 3 new construction options, I will say that the select board doesn't really have any direct control over which one. But if the question is just what I would want and try to influence, it would be for the option that allows for the students from all over Hamilton and Wenham to attend grades 1 through 5 at the new building, the new school on the Cutler site. The alternative would really have, I don't want to say different classes of students, but different students, some of them with an older building that it doesn't have all the really wonderful advantages. Thank you. And then some attending the new school. So I think there's only one option that allows all the students in the similar grades 1 through 5 attending the same new school. And so I think that's the option that we should go with. We have a great opportunity to have the state pay for a large part of this expense. And a lot has changed in the world of education in the last number of years, and we need to use that to enhance our community.
Thank you. Mr. Olson, you're next. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm done with the question. It's a question that we've been talking about for a while now, and I think first I want to say I appreciate the process. I think the school board, school committee, all the different organizations have done a great job with the process. So I think every voice and every opinion matters, and I think that, as I said before, it's important that we build consensus in this town, and not everyone's going to agree, but I think everyone needs to be understood and heard. And we can come up with a decision that's in the best interest of the town and the citizens of our town. We had some polls came out. It's a lot of different forums that come up in polls and meetings and stuff. But from the perspective of my opinion, which I know I realize just of one opinion, and like I said, we're not going to vote as we're not going to vote as a select board on this, but we will, but it's important for us to have an opinion. We did vote as a board in our last meeting that we would extend the lease at the Cutler site for 50 years. That's a requirement of the state. Before they will negotiate with the town, they want to make sure there's a 50-year lease. They make sure that the school will be viable for years to come. The opinion that we had why the Cutler site made the most sense was for a few reasons. One, felt it was a better neighborhood scene for a school and to have a school within a neighborhood. Also, Cutler was a large enough site where allowed for a new school to be built while the old school would maintain. So for the students that would be in that school during the construction process, their lives wouldn't be really disrupted as much. They would be able to stay in that school. The project would be shorter because it would be a brand new school next to existing school, and you wouldn't have to phase it. You wouldn't have to move kids to temporary classrooms. So it allows for the children who are in that school during the process of construction, which can be disruptful, to not really be disrupted as much as you would in a remodel site or a phased project. Secondly, I think it's
30
important
seconds.
I think it's important that all the kids go to the same type of school, and it would be silly for us to have second and third, fourth graders go to different schools and have a completely different experience within a small town Hamilton. Everyone should get the advantage of the new and modern school built for our needs today. And also the Winthrop site could be monetized in a fiscal way to be able to either sell the property and more flexibility to develop it to create a better Hamilton and more options for it. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, I don't know how to. shut
Ms.
that.
Kennedy, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think I'm fine. Thank you. So I think that the best option involves a two-pronged analysis. First and most important is that it must consider the best interests of the children. The second issue is the cost to taxpayers. We must preserve the ability to divide our resources between the needs of the schools and the needs of the town. The decision has already been made that whatever project occurs would be on the Cutler School site. The Cutler School is an antiquated building with a mishmash of outdated modular buildings. We do need a new elementary school. Little children need a welcoming, safe, and comfortable setting where they can develop a sense of mastery over their environment. And they need to be able, and to do that, they need to be able to walk down the corridor to the principal's office, to the cafeteria, to different classrooms, and feel the self-confidence involved in the accomplishment of these tasks. They need to know their peers, the administrators, and the teachers. All these activities help develop a sense of self. When children are overwhelmed by a large environment, they become anxious and therefore unable to settle down and focus. When anxiety is removed, the ability to focus and therefore to learn is maximized. I believe then a small school satisfies the best interests of young children. Second, and equally important, is a tax impact. We have many concurrent town needs: our infrastructure, public safety, the town administration, and our
30
water
seconds.
supply. We have the opportunity for state funding to cover some of the cost of the school, but the majority will be borne by the taxpayers. The bigger the school, the more expensive it will be. In summary, replacing the existing Cutler School is the best choice to provide an environment that young children need to thrive, and it's the least expensive for taxpayers, preserving our scarce resources for other important town needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will start with you, Mr. Olson. What is your view on the current and required future actions to provide more affordable housing options in Hamilton?
Yeah, it's a very important, I served on the Affordable Housing Trust when I was in my first term for select board. And, it's a very important thing that we create, attainable housing so people can live in our town. Our teachers are the people that, that work in town can live in town and can afford to live in town. So we're looking at a couple different options right now currently. One is currently the the site that on Tobacco Woods that has been trying to be developed has recently applied to do a 40B project, and we looked at as a select board on how we could, if that project is going to go through, how we can as a select board take advantage of the situation and convince them to do certain things for the town that allow us to meet our affordable housing, as well as maintain that property for the people that want to maintain the trails, maintain the access, maintain the open space. So we're going to start to negotiate with those developers that if they are going to go ahead and put a 40B property, which has a 25% affordable housing on, I think at the most, we want to make sure that it's in the best interest of the town. So I think it's important for affordable housing to work with the developers to get what we need in the town, and also not to take away from our town character, our town resources. We did work as well as created some Habitat for Humanity off of Asbury near one of the cell phone towers. So created an area near a cell phone tower that may not have been desirable for people, but now it's going to be homes for nice people, and it's going to be at an affordable price, and it's going to in a nice
30
area. So
seconds.
we continue to try and find creative ways to work with developers to leverage properties that may not have been beneficial for other things, and to at the same point negotiate benefits for the town, like trails and donations to our Affordable Housing Trust to build other properties. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy, you're next. Would you like me to repeat the question? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, yes, please.
What is your view on the current and required future actions to provide more affordable housing options in Hamilton?
Right. I think the price of housing is out of control everywhere, and certainly in Hamilton. I think that there are ways that we can increase our affordable housing stock without placing undue burden on undeveloped lands, since open space is so important to the townspeople, and also as a source of recreation for people who come in from the outside. I served as a member on the Affordable Housing Trust during my time as a selectman, and I voted in the affirmative on 2 projects that created 28 affordable units in Hamilton. And they are, it's wonderful to see people being able to afford houses or to be able to afford to live in Hamilton. The Willow Street project has 18 units, and I've heard just wonderful things about the difference of people living there. There are kids living there, there are older people, so it's a nice mixture of people. I think it's very important that when we're thinking about affordable housing, that we repurpose existing buildings. For example, there are larger, maybe Victorian houses in the downtown area that could be repurposed into 2 or 3 units, which would be much less expensive for people, and it would also not add any greater density in terms of breaking up land in the area. Finally, Gordon Conwell is talking about selling their existing apartments, and
30
there
seconds.
are about 160 apartments, I believe, there, and repurposing those into affordable housing, or a mixture of affordable and market rate housing, would go a long way toward reaching our goal of a 10% affordable housing. It would also limit the taking of new undeveloped land and leave open space for everybody to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knudsen, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been on the Affordable Housing Trust for the last 4 years, and have chaired it for the last year. One thing that people should understand is that the Affordable Housing Trust doesn't have the power to just make affordable housing. We're not a developer ourselves. We primarily react to requests by developers. At least that's the way it works in Hamilton. And to help fund those projects. One thing we need to do as a town is be more friendly towards affordable housing projects, and we've had some proposed that have gone down. And I would say, as sort of an example of that, and Rosie mentioned the Gordon Conwell apartments, those absolutely would be some of the most prime opportunity for us to increase the affordable housing inventory substantially. What people should know is that going back, I want to say 3 or so years, Harbor Light had a contract with the seminary to have those be affordable, and forces got in the way. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or blame anybody, but forces got in the way that did not
30
come to
seconds.
fruition. But it is still on the table, as the seminary is still interested in selling those properties. So I think that would be one of the prime places to try to have some affordable housing.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with you, Ms. Kennedy. How would you propose to bring people with differing opinions together to solve issues in a constructive way? And that's to you, Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you. So, that is a great question. I think the first principle is listening is mandatory, even if duct tape is required. Everybody who comes into a room should acknowledge that the issue is important and that we all have an opinion. We should acknowledge that we all want to solve the issue and that it will take some serious discussion from everyone. I think respecting others' opinions is valid even if everyone doesn't agree. I try to understand the issue from everyone's perspective. Everyone's perspective is a function of their background and life experience. So I'm going to use a scary example, the turf fields, which is a very contentious issue right now. So person A has the opinion that my son grew up on grass and muddy fields. It's a fact of life. I like grass. I don't care about muddy spots. Turf fields are very expensive. I did not grow up with a lot of money. We had what we needed, not a lot of extras. We do not need turf fields. So person B gets a chance to speak, and person B says, I grew up on turf fields, no mud, no loss of playtime. He likes turf fields, feels they are safer, more convenient, and therefore necessary. It's important that we accept all opinions as valid. We don't have the right to diminish others. Everybody gets to speak, and the important thing is to
30
find
seconds.
the important thing is to find common ground. And the common ground here is playing sports is fun. It's good exercise and it's a social opportunity. Civil discourse begins when we see the person, not a vile opponent. And that opens the room for negotiation. Would we do one small turf field? Would 50% be paid by donations? I don't have an answer, but I know that the conversation is beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knudsen, you're next. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. Got it. So yeah, we we live in a town with a lot of successful and privileged people, and that brings with it a lot of people that advocate for their interests. And in that context, having better community conversations is both a daunting task, but also an absolutely critical one. Sean Farrell has been such a good example of how to have those tough conversations, and I think we should try to follow in his lead. And I do have a specific proposal, but I guess before I get to that, I want to agree with Rosie in many of those ways, and that it is important for us in order for those conversations, in whatever context they are, that the participants be curious and humble and patient and always seeking common ground, and certainly be respectful. And the leaders of the town, whether that's the select board members or others, have a great responsibility to lead in that direction and set that tone. And I've done that for 4 years, and not to mention for the most of my life in other contexts. As far as a specific proposal goes, this is going to be strange, but I'm going to take an example from the United States House of Representatives, maybe not in its current form, because I haven't heard much about this lately, but there's a thing called, or there was a thing called the Problem Solvers Caucus, right? And so I think we need kind of an informal advisory group, not another board that is a part of town government, but an informal group that the select board has a responsibility to at least take into account their positions. And that advisory group would be made up of people from different sort of constituencies. So we'd have some people from, that have an environmental or conservation focus. We'd have some seniors. We'd have a youth or young adult. We'd have a school committee designee, an affordable housing advocate, somebody from the downtown business district representative. And I'm not meaning that to be an exhaustive list in any sense. There's obviously a few others that we could have on there. I think the town manager and or the select board chair should be part of that group as well.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Olson? Would you
It's a
like me
good
to repeat the
discussion.
question?
Yes, no, I'm good. I think it's a good discussion and a good question. I think that, as I said a couple times tonight, that the most important thing for me is to build consensus, right, in this town and within groups. And I think over the last 6 years plus the 3 in the planning board, I was able to build consensus in boards. If you look at our voting record, more often than not, we were unanimous on decisions. And we may have not started that way, but we learned to open up our ears and open up our minds and come to a compromise. So I think it's important to build consensus and build that compromise. I think that, you know, the government we have in Hamilton sort of represents that, the fact that every vote matters, right? So we all have one vote and we all vote at town meeting. We all vote together. So even though everybody has different opinions, everybody gets a vote and all the votes count the same. And I think this Saturday, you will hear a great example of having an open mic where everybody is welcome and invited to come up to the mic, be uninterrupted, and get 3 minutes to speak on a topic and share their opinion. And I think I want to promote that. I don't think people should be nervous or scared or afraid to share an opinion that might be different from somebody else's. I think in Hamilton, we have a lot of different backgrounds. We come from different places. We have different experiences, and we can all share and learn from each other's experiences. So I think in our town, it's important to promote that discussion, keep that discussion open. You know, in the select board, we have a 3-minute open mic at the beginning of every meeting where we invite people to come for topics that are not on our agenda, to come and speak to that topic and teach, share,
30 seconds.
and share with us. So, and we've worked really hard over the last 6 years to create an environment where we have multiple media. We have put signage up. I think the most disappointing thing is when we talk about something for years and vote on it, we have a citizen come and say, oh, they didn't know about it, and they were surprised to hear it was even an issue. And so we've done a really good job trying to get everything out there between signage boards, between our website, between social media, between town meeting, between other meetings that happen in other organizations. So I think we continue to do a good job to share our thoughts with everybody and get it out into the citizens.
Thank you. And for our final question, Mr. Knudsen, we'll start with you. What steps would you take to increase the Hamilton tax base? And you're muted.
All right. Well, I think, a big part of that is using the treasures that we have in this town, and making it a place that people want to live. So having those better conversations is a good way. We definitely don't want to be part of and leading the town in the direction of having toxic conversations and things like that. But as far as, more practical aspects of, increasing the tax base, like I said before, there aren't a lot of opportunities for the town to develop additional properties and turn them into tax revenue generating property. But we do need to promote our local businesses. We need to set them up for success. There are things that we need to do and that are in the works for working on our downtown business district. And then, as I mentioned before, the Gordon Conwell Seminary property is a significant opportunity for us. And again, it's not our decision, right? It's privately owned. However, the seminary welcomed and invited us into a process where we could have influence on what gets, who gets to buy it, how it gets developed. And in some ways, we have not made the most of that opportunity to this point. And then, as we mentioned before, the Winthrop property is another place where our downtown business district may be able to get expanded. It needs to be a town wide decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olson, you're next.
Can you just repeat the question one more time?
What steps would you take to increase the Hamilton tax base?
So, yeah, I mean, I think that the challenge we're gonna continue to have yearly in this town is to balance our budget so we don't have increased taxes. I think we've done a really good job. But it would only go so far to stretch things as far as you can before you actually have to increase revenue. And I think we need to be creative with what we have to increase our revenue and tax base without giving up the character of the town. You know, building more houses, single family houses in Hamilton might increase taxes, but it also increases our cost too. So we need to be able to build things that increase our revenue but don't increase our cost. It needs to be creative. There's four sort of examples of that. One is senior housing. Seems to be, we have a bylaw for senior housing bylaw that's been used successfully twice in our town. And it seems to generate quite a bit of tax revenue without actually impacting our schools or a lot of our services that may cost the most amount of money. So there's opportunities to maybe build some more senior housing. Senior housing is also nice because it's dense, so it creates some density and leaves more open space. You don't have to have minimum acreage per house, so you can actually create some density and create some more open space. Gordon Conwell is a huge example of a private property that could, that once again, if they choose to sell it, we could work with developers to create something that would be beneficial to our town, create tax revenue, and be something that we want to see there, and we'd be part of that process. So we've been trying to work with them and be creative with developers and work with them to be their partners, so they do things that we want them to do, not what they want to do might not be. For the Winthrop site we talked about is a site because we're going to be facing some challenges coming up with the MBTA
30
community zoning. So we're going to be voting this Saturday to raise some funds to do a master sort of study to look at master plan study to look at how the MBTA zoning could affect Hamilton being an MBTA community, and how we can once again be creative with that bylaw to improve our town and increase our tax revenue. So I think we have 3 or 4 opportunities right now in the next coming years to be creative with some of the projects we have in town to increase our tax base without giving up the character of Hamilton. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy, would you like me to repeat the question?
Please.
And what steps would you take to increase the Hamilton tax base?
I agree with Bill that one of the important things we need to do is think about being fiscally conservative, because there aren't a ton of options for development in our town. But there are steps that we can take to increase the tax base. We can develop small commercial entities outside of the main downtown. So for instance, hypothetically near Gordon Conwell, where hopefully those apartments will be sold and become affordable. There'll be the need for small businesses down over there. I think about a small business that's not intrusive to the neighborhood, as something like the Five Sons Pizza Shop. That's a great example of a local, non-intrusive entity that will raise increase the tax base in town, offer community as it does so wonderfully, and it doesn't take over a neighborhood. The other issues would be HDC, which the Hamilton Development Corporation, which is working on a walkable area for the downtown, making it cute and quaint and encouraging people to come from the outside and spend money at our restaurants and the little shops. And thirdly, there's perhaps in the formation basis, but the idea to develop a form-based code, which would decide how to build out the downtown while preserving the character. It would connect the downtown parks, and it would be a charming experience for people from the outside who would want to come in and, again, partake of restaurants and maybe festivals that we have, and shopping. So those are the areas that I think we could improve and increase the tax base.
Thank you. That concludes the questions, and we'll now go to closing statements. And we ask the candidates to, in your closing statement, to focus on what you feel differentiates you from your opponents. And we'll start with you, Mr. Olson.
Thank you. I think once again, I'll say it for the 4th time tonight, but I think I do a good job at building consensus in town. I'm very creative thinking, and I listen to people, and I come up with creative solutions that that can build consensus and build compromise. But I think the most important thing in this town is every voice matters and every person's opinion matters. So please come out to the town meeting on Saturday and voice your opinion and listen to other people's opinions. Please come to the polls and please join, please become involved. I know people are busy, but become involved in the community. There's lots of opportunity to volunteer, to go to meetings, to listen. So, so my goal is to build some consistency in town over the next 3 years, get some projects done, and to feel like, and to make everyone in the town feel like they're helping to build a better community in Hamilton. So thank you for listening tonight. Thank you for having me here, and I look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday at town meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy, you're next.
Yes. So right now, Hamilton is engulfed in the potential for very rapid change. We need select board members who are willing to do the hard work required to protect our town character, our environment, and our school system. We must control costs to make it a livable community for all of our residents. And so that means we need to make difficult decisions, but we must always think we in our actions. I have the experience, the commitment, and the resolve to help guide our town through the unsettling issues facing us. We can find solutions. And I ask you to consider my name for select board when voting by mail or at the voting booth on April 11th. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Knudsen.
Thank you. The town of Hamilton has some significant decisions ahead of us, and also some tremendous opportunities. Our people are our best resource, so it's important that we don't make this a toxic place and drive people away from being involved, or maybe even drive them away from the town entirely. But rather, we need to strive to be a community known for being welcoming, caring, and innovative, where we recognize excellence and high achievement, but we also don't forget about the disadvantaged, and that we care about the least among us. Physical discipline is incredibly important. And I agree with Bill that over the last 5-6 years, there's been some good progress there, especially in working with the schools. But we also want to recognize that we can't neglect our infrastructure and important assets like our schools. We need to take good care of our children, just as we take good care of those of other ages. I humbly ask for your vote for select board on April 11th. You can contact me through my town email, which follows a convention. I am also on Facebook, and you can message me if you want to through that, and I'll respond that way. But I appreciate the opportunity that I've had tonight, and that the voters will give all of us on April 11th.
Thank you. I'd like to close the forum by thanking the candidates for their participation in our democratic process. And now I'll turn the proceedings back over to the Hamilton-Wenham League.
Thanks, Amy. The League would like to thank the candidates for coming out tonight and sharing their opinions. We'd also like to thank Amy, our moderator. We recognize that our time here was limited, and we encourage voters who have follow-up questions to contact candidates directly. Please consider joining us and working with other local volunteers so that we can continue to provide this type of voter education. You can visit us at our website, which is LWVHW, for the League of Women Voters of Hamilton-Wenham.org. So LWVHW.org to learn more about League membership. Please remember to attend the annual town meetings on Saturday, April 6th. They start at 9 a.m. in Hamilton at the Hamilton-Wenham Regional High School and at 1 p.m. in Wenham at Bucher Elementary School. And please vote in the election on Thursday, April 11th. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.